Hey there, and welcome to Family Revenge. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay with us for every twist and turn. Let's jump right in. It was a quiet Wednesday. Late afternoon, no radio on, just the low hum of my sewing machine and the thick smell of vinyl glue in the air. I was halfway through restitching the driver's seat of a '72 Mustang when I heard the knock. Soft, deliberate, back door. Nobody ever used the back. Not customers, not deliveries. I stood up slow, wiped my hands on a rag, and pushed open the metal door. Ray, he stood there like he'd just pulled off a surprise party, grinning, wearing that same frayed denim jacket he's probably had since I was 12. Left hand in his pocket, right hand holding a thick envelope. "Hey, kid," he said, like we were on good terms. "You busy?" I didn't answer. I stepped aside. He walked in like he owned the place. He dropped the envelope on my workbench and tapped it once with 2 fingers. 10 grand, straight up. Bank certified cashier's check. No strings, I didn't touch it. Just stood there, arms crossed, heart kicking behind my ribs. He glanced around the shop like he'd never seen it before, like he hadn't begged me last winter for 500 to fix his truck transmission. "Listen," he started. "I did you a favor. I found a buyer for the warehouse. Got you a real solid deal. 2.2 million cash offer, already signed and sealed. Before we go further, quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from." I didn't move, just let him talk. "You're buried in this place, Laverne," he said, waving his hand at my shop like it was a disease. "You don't have time to manage that dump on top of everything. I freed you up. Clean break. You walk with money, I get a little something, everybody wins." He smiled again, waited for a thank you that never came. I reached for the key around my neck. Brass bolt, heavy, a little worn. My fingers curled around it. Just a habit. He never noticed. He leaned against the workbench, real casual. "I'm telling you, it's done. No more property taxes, no more busted pipes, no more pigeons shitting through that rotten roof." I nodded once. Didn't blink. He took that nod like surrender, like he'd closed the deal. But what he didn't know, couldn't have guessed, was that 3 days earlier, I'd already met with a lawyer, transferred the deed into a legal structure with my name locked in tight. No one could touch it without my say-so, least of all him. He slapped the envelope like he was sealing the victory and walked out whistling, thinking he'd just saved his daughter from herself. I waited until his truck rattled off down the gravel. Then I picked up the envelope and shoved it in a drawer behind the old tire invoices. Didn't even look inside. I didn't head home after the shop closed. I drove straight to the warehouse. Didn't even kill the engine at first, just sat there in the gravel lot, headlights hitting the rusted steel roll-up like a spotlight on a washed-up actor. The place looked smaller than I remembered, like time had shrunk it, or maybe I'd just grown too damn tired to pretend it was something it wasn't. I finally shut off the ignition and went in through the side door, the one with the handle that always stuck. Inside, the air was heavy and familiar. Oil, mold, cracked leather, dust. It smelled like sweat and stubbornness. No lights, just that soft yellow spill from the dusk outside through busted-out panes. I pulled a milk crate over and sat down by the old tool wall. Same pegboard Mom used when she was alive. Her outlines were still drawn around the wrenches and pliers, thick black marker that hadn't faded even after 4 Maine winters and 2 hurricanes. She died when I was 24. Brain aneurysm, no warning. She was here one day, working on a Thunderbird's backseat panel, and gone the next. Left behind this place, unpaid taxes, and a will that nobody had expected to be worth anything. But it was hers, so it became mine. Probate took 9 months. I fought for it. I showed up to court in my best jeans and a fake leather binder full of repair receipts. Judge finally signed it over, said I was young but capable. Didn't feel capable. Felt raw. But I started slow, one job at a time. Patch a vinyl rip. Fix sun-faded armrests. Refoam a bench seat for a guy who tipped in Dunkin' gift cards. Saved every dollar I could. Put it back into the bones of the place. Rewired the breaker box. Re-roofed the worst half with help from Dave and a Craigslist guy who smelled like cat pee. Ray didn't show up to help, not once. But he came around the minute he smelled money. Called his visits check-ins. Would come in with a smile and leave with a few $100. "Bridge loan," he'd say. "Just need to float the truck payment till Tuesday." Or, "They shut off my propane, kid." Only for the weekend, always temporary. Always a promise to pay me back. I kept saying yes, told myself it was the smart move. Better to keep him close, to manage it. If I gave a little, maybe I could control the spin, keep him from going completely off the rails. If I was the one handing him the rope, at least I knew where it was, but the rope just got longer. And control didn't bring peace. It brought silence, empty rooms, missed calls. Stress I carried in my jaw until I cracked a molar one night in my sleep. The truth hit me then, sitting on that crate, palms pressed to the sticky concrete. This building, it never lied to me. It creaked when it needed help. It leaked where the seams were weak. It asked for maintenance. But it never pretended to be something it wasn't. It never grinned and stole behind my back. And that meant something. I stood up, moved slow through the open space, ran my hand along the same metal support beam I'd painted 4 years ago, drunk on boxed wine and determination. There was still a dent in it from the time I'd thrown a socket wrench after missing a deadline. I laughed a little, couldn't help it. Then I kicked aside a pile of broken down boxes and dragged a tarp off an old Chrysler seat frame, sat on the bare metal. The bolts creaked beneath me like they recognized my weight. The brass key was still warm against my chest, pressed under my shirt. That was the difference now. I wasn't the same girl who handed Ray money because she thought it made her strong. I didn't need to manage him anymore. I just needed to protect what mattered. And this place, the leaks, the rust, the bad insulation, mattered because it was mine. And I wasn't giving it up. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed at the warehouse, lights off, just me and the hum of the old soda machine in the corner. My mind wouldn't shut up. I could still hear Ray's voice in the shop. How proud he'd sounded. How smug. That envelope on my bench like a goddamn trophy. I thought I was prepared. I thought blocking the sale had been enough. Then, around midnight, my phone lit up. It was Dave. I picked up on the second ring. "What's wrong?" He didn't waste time. "You sitting down?" I stood up instead. "Say it." He let out a breath. "I was at Henry's, Wiscasset. You know the place?" "Yeah." Ray was there. Drunk. Loud. Telling some guy how he got you to sign something that gave him control over the warehouse. I didn't answer. Dave kept going. "Said you didn't even read it." Laughed about it. Called it quick work. He told the guy the money would be in hand within a week. Quick note. Before we go on, tell us which country or city you're watching from. My mouth went dry. I gripped the edge of the seat frame so hard my knuckles cracked. What did he mean? I signed something? No clue. He said it casual like it was done. Like you were too busy with cars and crap to notice. Jesus. "I'm sorry," Dave said, and I believed him. I almost decked him. I shook my head like he could see me. "Nah, I'm glad you told me." He lowered his voice. "You got someone to talk to? Lawyer-wise?" I did. Not directly, but I remembered the name. Angela Dowd. My friend Terry had used her during a custody fight. Said she was quiet, sharp, didn't blink even when her ex showed up screaming in court. I didn't sleep after the call. Just waited for daylight. Left the warehouse before 6, drove straight to Angela's office in Damariscotta. I didn't even call first, just walked in when they opened. Front office was small. Outdated wallpaper, that old lady perfume smell baked into the cushions. But Angela herself, not what I expected. Short gray hair, pressed button down, steady eyes. No jewelry. No smile either, which I appreciated. She motioned me in. "Tell me everything." I did. From the envelope to Dave's call to the sneaking feeling in my gut that something worse was happening under the surface. She listened without interrupting, just nodded once, then typed for a few seconds on her laptop. Then she looked up. "He filed a forged power of attorney." I felt like the floor tilted under me. What? "It was submitted to the Lincoln County Recorder's Office 2 weeks ago. Says you gave him full control over the warehouse property. Signatures, dates, all included. I never signed a thing." "I believe you." She turned her screen toward me, showed me the document. There was my name at the bottom, but the handwriting was off. Letters floated, pressure uneven. I knew right away. "He's trying to sell it," I said. Angela nodded. "And if we don't stop it, he might succeed." That was the worst part. How close it was to happening. How easily it could have slipped through. She stood up and started pulling files from a locked drawer. "We need to file an emergency block today. Move ownership into a secure holding. After that, we go after the fraud." I nodded, jaw clenched. Angela sat again, already scribbling notes. "You acted fast. That's good. We still have time." I stared at the screen, my fake signature staring back at me. Ray hadn't just crossed a line. He'd built a damn road over it. and I was done pretending he hadn't. Angela didn't waste a second. By the time I'd finished my second cup of burnt lobby coffee, she had a filing packet ready, 3 copies, notarized, signatures clean and exact. We moved the warehouse into a fixed legal holding structure. She called it a single-member irrevocable trust. I didn't care what it was called. What mattered was, on paper, I couldn't be touched now. "You're the sole trustee," Angela said, sliding the final copy into a red folder. "Anyone tries anything else, the recorder's office flags it and calls me first." I exhaled. Didn't realize I'd been holding my breath the whole time. We filed a fraud alert too, tied it directly to the parcel number. Lincoln County Recorder had to manually review any ownership changes from that moment forward. If Ray tried another forged document, it would hit a brick wall. Angela locked eyes with me. He's going to try again. People like him don't stop until it explodes. I nodded. Let him. That night, I hit the hardware store, grabbed 2 blink cams, motion sensors, spare batteries, and a can of wasp spray for the back shed because why the hell not? At the warehouse, I installed 1 camera behind the front desk, another in the garage aimed at the roll-up door. Motion alerts went straight to my phone. I didn't tell anyone, not even Dave. I also stopped answering Ray's calls. Didn't block him. Just let them ring out. He called 3 times the first night, twice the next day, then started texting like nothing was wrong. "Just checking in, kid. Hope you like the check." "We should celebrate." It made my stomach twist. But I left him unread. Angela had already sent the forged document to a handwriting expert in Portland, some guy who did court testimony and used to work for the post office. A week later, we got the report. Pressure on the fake signature was all over the place. Too heavy on the L, light drag on the E's. My real signature was tight, consistent. The loops matched on every form I'd ever filed. His didn't even try. Angela read it out loud. "Not a match. Likely forged." That was enough to hold in court, but we weren't done. Angela had also pulled the buyer's records. Cornish Development LLC sounded legit on paper. Fancy name, vague business purpose, local P.O. box. But she found the registration date was only 6 weeks old, no actual filings, no office, no tax ID. And the kicker? The listed owner was a man named Dale Grover. I nearly choked when she said it. "Dale," I repeated. "My dad used to play poker with a guy named Dale. From Biddeford. Real mouthy bastard. Had a pit bull named Booger." Angela raised 1 eyebrow. "Well, Booger's dad tried to steal your warehouse." It was almost funny. Almost. The whole scam was built like a bad movie. Phony documents, a fake buyer, and a check made out just big enough to feel generous, but not big enough to raise alarms. 10 grand to buy silence, 10 grand to erase the only thing I owned. Angela laid out the whole paper trail on her desk, every forged page, every email between Dale and the escrow agent they'd tried to use. She even tracked Dale's fake business website. It was a 1-page Wix template with no phone number. Ray didn't just think he could get away with it. He knew he could, because I always let him slide. But this time, I was silent for a reason. Let him think he'd won. Let him lean all the way in. Because when he made his next move, there'd be no walking it back. The reservation was under Raymond, some overpriced steakhouse in Bath with white tablecloths and water glasses taller than the forks. I showed up 5 minutes early, hair clean, boots wiped down, leather jacket zipped. No makeup, no smile. He was already seated near the back corner booth, dim light, big view of the river like it made this moment fancy. Ray stood up, grinning like we were celebrating a graduation. "There she is." My girl, I slid into the booth and set my hands on the table. "You picked a spot." He waved the wine list. "Only the best. They've got this Bordeaux or something. Big deal bottle. I figure what the hell, right?" The waiter came. Ray ordered a $90 red like it was tap water. I asked for a glass of ice water, nothing else. He raised an eyebrow but didn't say a thing. He poured 2 glasses when it came. Toasted the air. "To new beginnings," he said, clinking his glass gently against mine. "You're free now." That warehouse was a ball and chain. I took a sip of water and watched him. He leaned back, smiling like a man who thought he'd solved life. 2.2 million, Laverne. You believe that? It's a miracle. And the 10 grand up front? That was me being generous. I tilted my head. Generous? Hell yeah. You needed breathing room. I've always looked out for you. Even when you didn't know you needed it, I kept my face still. No smirks, no eye rolls, just steady. He launched into his version of the story. How he'd found the buyer, negotiated a deal, handled the paperwork because I was too swamped to notice. He said it like he was proud, like it was some big brotherly gesture instead of straight up fraud. Then came the real kicker. You and me, we're set for life. Think about it. After taxes, we each walk away with 7 figures. You can buy a whole new shop somewhere nicer. Hell, open too. Quick note, before we go further, share what city or country you're watching from. He topped off his glass and flashed that crooked smile. I know it feels sudden, but trust me, kid. I've got this figured out. I nodded like I was halfway convinced, took another sip of water. Then Angela walked in. Sharp blazer, low heels, that same expression she'd worn the morning I met her. Flat, calm, all business. She spotted us and gave a little oh hey wave like she hadn't planned it. Ray stiffened. She walked straight over. Didn't expect to see you two here. Ray gave a polite smile that didn't reach his eyes. Small town. Angela gestured toward the booth. Mind if I join for a minute? I looked at Ray. He hesitated just long enough to show his nerves, then nodded. Sure, why not? She sat down beside me, smoothed her napkin, and made eye contact with him for exactly 3 seconds too long. Ray tried to keep his swagger, but the shift was obvious. His voice dropped. His hand went to his wine glass, fingers drumming the stem. I leaned back, crossed my arms, and watched the performance fall apart. Angela didn't open her folder, not yet. She just smiled once, tight-lipped. The trap was set, and he'd walked right into it. Angela reached into her bag, pulled out a slim blue folder, and laid it gently on the table like it was nothing special. But I saw Ray's eyes track it like it was a loaded gun. She flipped it open with one finger. Raymond, I want to be very clear about what this is. He squinted, playing dumb. Should I be worried? She ignored that. This is the deed transfer dated 2 weeks before you filed your forged power of attorney. The warehouse was moved into a fixed legal trust on that date, witnessed, notarized, and filed with the Lincoln County Recorder's office. He blinked. Twice. Angela kept going. Calm. Direct. This is a printout of the fraud alert we submitted, which triggered a manual hold. That hold flagged the documents you submitted, which were already under review when you dropped off your buyer's paperwork. Ray glanced down at the folder, but didn't touch it. His jaw tensed. I could hear the ice in his wine glass settle. Angela pulled out the next sheet. This is from a handwriting expert in Portland. He compared the forged signature to multiple verified copies of Laverne's real one. She slid the report forward. Conclusion? Not even close. Ray gave a weak chuckle. You really hired a handwriting guy? Angela didn't blink. Of course. Then came the final page. This, she said, is the registration paperwork for Corniche Development LLC, a fake company created 6 weeks ago. No EIN, no office, no history. Ray shifted in his seat. His wine glass hit the edge of his plate. Angela's voice didn't change. The listed owner? Dale Grover. Your old poker buddy from Biddeford. Ray went pale. You looped him in, Angela said, tone flat. Told him there was money to be made if he played buyer. He used a fake address, registered a 1-page Wix site, and acted like it was legit. Ray's hand curled into a fist on the table. That building should have been mine. Angela didn't flinch. It wasn't. I paid for the goddamn roof. You didn't. I covered her taxes one year when she couldn't. No, she gave you a loan you never repaid. He looked at me for backup. Come on, Laverne. You really gonna sit there like I'm the villain? After all I did? I stared at him. You tried to steal it out from under me. I built that place before you even had your license. Your mother and I, Angela raised a hand. Enough. Ray's mouth slammed shut. Angela laid down one last page. These are the charges that apply based on what we've documented. Document fraud, attempted theft, conspiracy to commit real estate fraud, elder financial abuse. If we loop in the forged notary on the POA, he stared at her. Then, at me, silence. Then he slammed his hand on the table, rattling the glasses, knocking over the salt shaker. A couple turned to stare. The waiter stepped back from another booth. Angela didn't flinch. Ray sank back into his seat, deflated, his face blotchy, eyes bloodshot, like all the air had gone out of him. I needed the money, he mumbled. Angela kept her voice steady. You always do. He didn't argue. She leaned in slightly. If you want to stay out of jail, here's what happens next. Restitution. Full repayment of attempted gain. No contact with Laverne. And no further attempts to access, transfer, or interfere with the holding trust. Ray didn't answer, just rubbed his temple with both hands like he could disappear into the booth cushion. Angela stood up and dropped her business card on the table. Have your response within 10 business days. Otherwise, we go to the DA. Ray looked up at me then. Really looked. No fake warmth, no big grin. Just tired eyes and a man who finally understood that the game was over. I stood up without saying a word. Angela held the folder close to her chest and walked out first. I followed her into the cool night air, the sound of crickets louder than the street noise. Behind us, Ray didn't come out. He stayed at the table, alone. Angela didn't ask how I slept. She just handed me a mug of black coffee and slid a blank set of forms across the desk. Let's lock this down, she said. We worked in silence, her pen scratched quick, mine slower. She filled in the bones of the civil agreement while I wrote the hard stuff, dates, amounts, names. My handwriting looked small next to hers, but every letter felt final. Restitution plan. Full repayment of the $2.2 million he attempted to steal, plus legal costs. We broke it into terms he might actually hit. Monthly payments, no balloon clauses, no loopholes. Angela added the clause that really mattered. No direct contact, ever, she said. No texts, no calls, no middlemen. I nodded. Put the trust in there too. I want it clear. She clicked her pen shut. If he so much as touches it, we hit him with everything. By 9:30, it was done. The folder was thick with signatures, timelines, and quiet rage on letterhead. I took a photo of the first page and texted it to Dave. Need to talk. Today he called 10 minutes later. Is it bad? He asked. It's over, I said. But yeah, it's bad. We met at that diner near Route 17, neutral ground. He walked in greasy from work, still in his coveralls. I laid the folder on the table between us. He didn't open it, just stared at my face. I heard he didn't fight it. He tried. It didn't work. Dave let out a long breath. He's gonna twist this, you know. Tell people you ganged up on him. That you sold out your own father. He already did worse. I'm not defending him. I know. He ran a hand through his hair. He'll say it was family business. That you handled it like a stranger. Quick note, before we go on, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. I didn't answer for a second. Just let that sink in. Then I said, if I'd stayed quiet, I'd have nothing left. He already took the truth. I wasn't giving him the title, too. Dave looked at the folder. You did what you had to. I did what he forced me to. He nodded once, then pushed the folder back toward me. We didn't hug or make promises. Just finished our coffee and went our separate ways. That night, I drove back to the warehouse. First thing I did was change the locks. I swapped every core, tightened the screws myself, tested each key twice. One for the front, one for the back, one for the gate. Then I went inside, cleared off the big drafting table in the office, and started sketching out something new. A grant fund, small but real. For people like me who nearly lost everything to title fraud. Angela agreed to help file the nonprofit paperwork. I'd use part of the settlement when payments came through. No big launch, no press release. Just quiet money in the right place. I stayed late that night, laying out folders, tagging emails, making a spreadsheet of county offices that didn't require notary verification. It didn't fix what happened, but it felt like putting up a fence where the wall had cracked. And this time, nobody was getting in without my say-so. The payments started showing up in the second week of October. Angela forwarded the first one, a cashier's check for $400. A week later, another for $650. Both postmarked Bath. He was working again. Odd jobs, probably under the table. Not fast, but steady. That surprised me more than anything. Then came the letter. Plain white envelope. No return address. Just my name, written in that all-caps way he always used when he was trying to be formal. Inside was one sentence. Can I come stand on the lot? That was it. No greeting, no apology. Just a request to see the place again, from a distance. Angela called the next morning. You don't have to respond. I know. You want me to handle it? No, I said. I'll take care of it. We agreed on the conditions. One visit, no closer than the curb, no words exchanged. I didn't want a scene. I just needed to see what kind of man showed up when there was nothing left to take. He came that Sunday, cloudy afternoon. No rain, but the air felt heavy, like something was waiting to break. I heard his truck before I saw it, that old Silverado with the tailgate bungee corded shut. He parked across the street and stepped out slow, like the ground might give beneath him. He didn't walk over, just stood on the gravel shoulder, hands in his jacket pockets, staring at the building like it might speak. I watched him from inside, half shadowed behind the open garage door, silent. He looked older than I remembered, smaller somehow, not broken, just worn down in a way I didn't feel responsible for anymore. He stayed maybe 3 minutes, didn't move, didn't wave, didn't even try to look for me. Then he got back in the truck and pulled away, slow as he came. Quick note, before we finish, drop a comment with your city or country so we know where you're watching from. I stayed frozen in place for a long time after that. Not sad, not relieved either, just still. Whatever he'd come looking for, closure, memory, some kind of twisted respect, I wasn't going to give it to him. But I let him look. That was the only piece he was capable of giving, and the only one I was willing to accept. Winter came and went. So did another summer. The checks kept coming. Small, spaced out, but steady. Angela kept the civil case on standby, papers filed, just in case he ever decided to get stupid again. He didn't. And I stopped watching the mailbox like it might carry poison. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't waiting for some confession or apology that had never come. I was just clear. I couldn't fix Ray. I couldn't drag him into being decent or honest or even halfway responsible. But I could draw a line and keep it. I could own that line like it was welded in place. At the warehouse, I made changes, quiet ones. Put in a full perimeter fence, steel posts, barbed wire at the corners, coated padlocks on both gates. Took me 4 weekends and a half dozen busted knuckles, but I got it done without help. I painted it myself, matte gray to match the roofline. Every time I walked the edge, I tapped the posts with my wrench. Left palm prints on every rail. It wasn't just about security, it was about marking what was mine. Inside, above the workbench, I finally put up the frame I'd been meaning to hang for months. 3 things, matted in black and sealed behind glass. On the left, my mother's original deed, creased and yellowed, her signature still sharp in blue ink. Center, Angela's trust certificate, clean and bulletproof, dated exactly 3 days before Ray filed his lie. And on the right, the old brass key I used to wear around my neck, looped through a leather cord, tarnished but solid. Quick note before we wrap, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. I stood back and stared at that frame for a long time. Not proud, not sentimental, just steady. The space felt different now, lighter but not empty. No ghosts, no echoes, not even his voice. Just the tools, the work, and the walls I rebuilt myself. The warehouse was mine, not just on paper, in truth.